We're right on the border of Saudi Arabia, where President Donald Trump, Ivanka Trump, and others in the U.S. administration, Secretary of State Tillerson, are at. President Trump has just delivered a historic speech in Saudi Arabia, and from there he's going to go to Israel and the Vatican. I want to share with you what he said, make comments about it, and tell you the prophetic meaning. I believe that Donald Trump sees the world from an economic point of view, and that's going to really come out in his speech. And then, of course, we see the world from a biblical point of view, and we're going to explain that. According to Donald Trump, for Americans, this is an exciting time. A new spirit of optimism is sweeping our country. In just a few months, we have created almost 1 million new jobs, added over $3 trillion of new value, lifted the burdens on American industry, and made record investments in our military that will protect the safety of our people and enhance the security of our wonderful friends and allies, many of whom are here today. Right then he proceeds to talk about a $4 billion mutual investment between Saudis and Americans, and we'll see how that plays out. Within that, this landmark agreement includes the announcement of a $110 billion Saudi-funded defense purchase, and we will be sure to help our Saudi friends to get a good deal from our great American defense companies. Again, he sees the world from an economic point of view. That's a great economic deal. I think as far as the Middle East is concerned, the less weapons they have, the better. What are they doing right now? Basically, Donald Trump is passing the buck to Saudi Arabia and saying, you fight your own fights. Right now, the Russians are selling weapons to Iran. The Saudis are not happy. So rather than getting involved militarily, Donald Trump has a new way. He says, I'll sell brand new top technology equipment to the Saudis. Let the Saudis police the Saudis and the Middle East. I think we know where that's going prophetically. He continues, the Middle East is rich with natural beauty, vibrant cultures, and massive amounts of historic treasures. It should increasingly become one of the great global centers of commerce and opportunity. This region should not be a place from which refugees flee, but to which newcomers flock. Saudi Arabia is home to the holiest sites in one of the world's great faiths. Then he talks about Egypt. Egypt was a thriving center of learning and achievement thousands of years before other parts of the world. What is he talking about? Actually, he's talking about the days when Christianity was the predominant religion in Egypt. Egypt changed when they drove out the Christians, and that's what's happening right now, as you can see, in many parts of the Middle East, especially in Syria. All over the world, the president continues, people dream of walking through the ruins of Petra in Jordan. Of course, and we've done that and taken many of you on that tour. Iraq was the cradle of civilization and is a land of natural beauty. And the United Arab Emirates has reached the incredible heights with glass and steel. So he's talking again, real estate development, that's his trade. The entire region is at the center of the key shipping lanes of the Suez Canal, the Red Sea, and the Straits of Hormuz. That's where they have the dispute with Iran, because a lot of the oil has to go through the Straits of Hormuz. The potential of this region has never been greater. He's talking about the economic potential. 65% of its population is under the age of 30. Like all young men and women, they seek great futures to build, great national projects to join, and a place for their families to call home. But this untapped potential, this tremendous cause for optimism, is held at bay by bloodshed and terror. There can be no coexistence with this violence. There can be no tolerating it, no accepting it, no excusing it, and no ignoring it. Every time a terrorist murders an innocent person and falsely invokes the name of God, it should be an insult to every person of faith. Of course, the Muslim terrorists do not feel that way at all. They feel they're being very faithful to what Allah has shown them through the Prophet Muhammad. The president continued, this is a battle between good and evil. But we can only overcome this evil if the forces of good are united and strong, and if everyone in this room does their fair share and fulfills their part of the burden. Terrorism has spread across the world. But the path to peace begins right here on this ancient soil in this sacred land. So this is where the moral Trump, the Christian Trump, begins to come in. He's trying to paint a picture that what's going on here is a battle not between Christianity and Islam, but it's between good and evil. And in a certain sense, he is right about that. It is a choice between two futures. It is a choice that America cannot make for you. A better future is only possible if your nations drive out the terrorists and the extremists. Drive them out. Drive them out of your places of worship. Drive them out of your communities. Drive them out of your holy land. Drive them out of this earth. So what is his plan? He says, if we deny terrorist organizations control of territory and populations, we must also strip them of their access to funds. Again, he sees it as an economic battle. We must cut off their financial channels that let ISIS sell oil, let extremists pay their fighters, and help terrorists smuggle their reinforcements. You've got the most practical president right now in America. He sees it in financial terms, in economic terms, and in a certain sense, he is right. If they successfully defund all of the terrorists, it would be very difficult for them to launch the attacks that they seem to be able to brazenly do right now, especially in this part of the world. Back to the moral Trump. He says that means honestly confronting the crisis of Islamist extremism and the Islamic terrorist group that it inspires. And it means standing together against the murder of innocent Muslims, the oppression of women, the persecution of Jews, and the slaughter of Christians. Again, very bold statements that Barack Hussein Obama would never say. He would never dare say those words, especially on Muslim soil. Religious leaders must make this absolutely clear. Barbarism will deliver you no glory. Piety to evil will bring you no dignity. If you choose the path of terror, your life will be empty, your life will be brief, and your soul will be condemned. That's the Christian part of him. He's saying the terrorists who blow up themselves, they're going to go straight to hell. And political leaders must speak out to affirm the same idea. And again, this is very challenging to Western leaders in Australia, Sweden, who have been very cowardly about Islamic terror. They've been bowing down to it. They've been receiving funds, as we know Hillary Clinton has been. And so they're real cowards that are leading our nation. And we have to pray that God drain the swamp in our nation. Political leaders must speak out. What's the idea that they should speak out? Heroes don't kill innocents. They save them. Many nations here today have taken important steps to raise up that message. The president continues, in that spirit, after concluding my visit in Riyadh, I will travel to Jerusalem and Bethlehem and then to visit the Vatican, visiting many of the holiest places in the three Abrahamic faiths. And he's referring to Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. If these three faiths can join together in cooperation, then peace in this world is possible, including peace between Israelis and Palestinians. Of course, we believe peace only comes through the Prince of Peace. There is no peace when there's turmoil and chaos and hatred in people's hearts. But he's trying to do it from an economic point of view. I will be meeting with both Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas. Starving terrorists of their territory, their funding, and the false allure of their craven ideology will be the basis for defeating them. But no discussion of stamping out this threat would be complete without mentioning the government that gives terrorists all three: safe harbor, financial backing, and the social standing needed for recruitment. It is a regime that is responsible for so much instability in the region, and I am speaking, of course, of Iran. After he finishes that speech, then the president of Jordan, King Abdullah, begins to reiterate, echo that sentiment that Iran is the threat, Iran is the cause of instability in the Middle East. So from an economic point of view, we can see Trump's going to make great deals, great for business, great for jobs. People are going to be happy. Americans should be happy. But from a moral, spiritual point of view, what's happening is he's funding and he's arming Saudi Arabia. And this is going to create a lot of nervousness in Iran. And so according to Daniel chapter 8, there's going to be a war with the ram. The ram represents Iran, all right, Persia. And Iran is going to attack the Sunni nations that threaten them. They're already losing grip and control over Syria. I'm not sure if they're going to lose that very soon, but it looks like Trump is very well prepared to escalate the war against Assad and get rid of him in Syria, and also escalate the war that's going on, you know, between the Sunnis and the Shia. Mainly that's represented by Iran and Saudi Arabia. So Iran, according to Daniel chapter 8, is going to attack Saudi Arabia, parts of Iraq, and contrary to many people's expectation, they're going to win. According to the Bible, no one will stop the ram. So they're going to win, they're going to push through, they're going to make a lot of progress. This may affect Israel in terms of a nuclear war. And then Turkey is going to come back. You've got President Recep Erdogan that's gearing up to be dictator. He's gotten rid of, rewritten his constitution, gotten rid of his term limits. He's in effect now the caliph of a new caliphate that he wants to inspire and build all across the Muslim world. So this is where we're at prophetically. We're very close to the time where I believe Iran is going to take first strike. You're going to see Damascus completely destroyed as Assad is taken out. And then we're going to have the setup for the Ezekiel 38 and 39 war, where Israel is going to be involved and a nuclear exchange is going to take place. But don't be afraid. Don't be afraid, because if you put your trust in Jesus Christ, the Prince of Peace, He will save you. He will tell you what to do in those times. So don't trust in yourself. No nation, no army is going to solve the conflict in the Middle East. Not even President Donald Trump. Not even this deal. If I can further add a prediction, I believe that Donald Trump is going to be in Israel and he's going to announce a historic peace between Israel and Saudi Arabia. This is going to leave the Palestinians out. If they don't want to sign on board, if they don't want to negotiate, Trump takes this as a deal, as an economic deal. So in business, if you don't negotiate with someone, business people don't just keep doing the same thing over and over. They will go find someone else to negotiate with, and Trump has found that. So I believe, as a prediction I make, Israel and Saudi Arabia are going to join in a historic peace, just like there is a peace between Israel and Jordan and Israel and Egypt. Then that's going to leave the Palestinians out. That's going to make Iran nervous. That's going to cause Syria to really need to be resolved very quickly. And you're going to see temporary prosperity and peace, but when they say peace and safety, then sudden destruction will come upon them. And that's the time you need to realize that our hope, our eternity is not in our politics, not in our politicians, but in Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus Christ, our Messiah, our Lord, the Savior of the world. Make sure that you put your trust in Him. All right? This is Pastor Steve Cioccolanti on the border of Saudi Arabia, reminding you to love God, love people, and look up.
These are the end of days, what the Bible says about the day of the Lord. And the whole world shake with the big earthquake when He returned. Could be a nuclear war, what the prophets saw, till you wonder where your help come from. Look up, your redemption draw near. Come the man of peace, come the mark of the beast, the tribulation. Don't you be surprised when the Antichrist give a deception.